As part of yesterday's patch notes for Battlefield 5, DICE unveiled how bullet dispersion was going to work after the patch was deployed. And I said in that video, if those changes meant noticeable gameplay differences, then I would make another video covering that and letting you guys know what had really changed. Well, here's that video. As well as that, we're going to take a look at the 2 new elite soldiers that have been added to the game today as well, Seamus and Ernst, how much they cost and what they really offer, and my opinion on how DICE is handling the cosmetics in Battlefield 5 at the moment. Okay then, let's talk about these gunplay changes. The 2 entries in the patch notes that confirm this change, they were quite easy to miss in my opinion. Usually when DICE decides to make such a significant change, then they tend to highlight it to the community via social media, maybe they do a roundup post on the forums, and they highlight it on Reddit as well, but these changes weren't mentioned in that way this time, and I found that quite surprising. Yesterday, I spoke to Florian Drunksy, who's a core gameplay designer at DICE, and he said that these changes were being made to make it slightly more predictable, with the first few shots being fired from assault rifles and SMGs, with the shots following those then being slightly less predictable. The second, third, and sometimes the fourth bullet fired, and the fourth only for low rate of fire weapons, would make it so that if your first shot landed on target, the ones after that would follow a predictable pattern, and considering the TTK is quite short in Battlefield 5, those first 4 bullets can make a massive difference in a gunfight. That's why I thought this change was really quite significant. Overall, this change buffs the effectiveness of using short bursts of bullets when firing at your enemy, instead of holding down the fire button and dumping your entire magazine towards them, since anything after the 4th bullet would become less predictable. DICE also reduced the amount of time that it takes for the bullet dispersion to reset after you stop firing, and that further buffs the short burst fire style, because if you stop firing and start, you can now do that quicker and the bullet dispersion will have gone back to center screen again. Now, in practice, I can say that I did notice a difference. Certainly, the first few bullets end up landing on target a lot more often, and then it's merely the distance between you and the target that determines if those first 4 or 5 bullets will get you the kill or not. The further you are away from your enemy, the less damage you're going to do, so even if those 4 bullets hit, you're not guaranteed a kill at long range. Now, I used the STG almost exclusively for about 4 rounds or so, and the difference was quite easy to notice with that weapon, although I will say that having read the patch notes quite extensively and spent some time thinking about what this change could actually do, maybe I was looking for the change more than I was actually feeling it. I'm a fan of the long-range sight on the STG for picking off distant players, but what you also get is more noticeable recoil with a scope like that, since the zoom of the scope kicks your sight up a lot more erratically. Even with that sight equipped, I was able to pull off some good mid-range kills, with the recoil predictably kicking upwards when I expected it to. At longer ranges, which is where you might want to sustain fire a little bit more and try and hit the player as they're moving, that's where I noticed that dispersion change back again, things getting a little bit less predictable, and bullets in longer bursts would end up missing their target. And especially at longer ranges, your target is that much smaller, you're going to miss the target a lot more anyway. Letting the weapon reset and then going for another burst, that tended to get things back on target again, but with the assault rifles, once you get into long-range combat, they're not likely gunfights that you're going to win anyway. I've gotten really used to switching my fire mode between semi-auto and fully auto on the STG because of the weapon being included in the Firestorm game mode. There, I use semi-auto fire a lot more, and now I've transferred that back across into standard multiplayer as well, so I'm just tapping that select fire button all the time, depending on the engagement distance. And at long range, I'd still say it's better to go for semi-auto fire rather than fully auto, at least with the STG, even with these new changes. Now, I did also try and find the difference using SMGs, which is the other gun type that's been affected by these changes, but with diving in and out of servers, making notes, and trying to pull everything together for this video today, I didn't get to test the SMGs as much as I would have liked to. I used the Sten for a round or so, and the MP34 for the rest of that second round, both on the slower rate of fire side of the SMG lineup. I was trying to see if I could notice that fourth bullet of predictable dispersion, but honestly, I couldn't really feel it that much. If I'd have gotten into a match maybe on Devastation, where SMGs can really do well, then I think I might have got a better feel for things. The SMGs are the weapon category that I think would really benefit from this change overall, because of how easily they can still be beaten in close range and mid-range gunfights by assault rifles and light machine guns. It's been a running meme since Battlefield 5 came out. The SMGs are built to dominate at close range, but they never quite feel powerful enough. If the SMG suddenly had more predictable bullet dispersion, knowing those first few bullets in a gunfight really matter the most, then SMGs could be getting a massive buff here. Maybe even up to the point where they really do start dominating those close range combat zones. Another change DICE has made with this patch, or rather an option that they've added to the options menu, is a camera shake slider. This is something that they added to Battlefield 1 as well. In that game they added it due to the insane amount of grenade spam that game had. Lots of players complained during those chaotic moments that they'd lose their aim with their weapon in all of the explosions, sending the view on the screen completely haywire. So the slider meant that players could turn that effect down, but they couldn't turn it off completely. DICE has done basically the same thing here with Battlefield 5, but what I will say is that this game doesn't have as many of those screen shake, chaotic, insane moments, because there is far less explosive spam overall. If you want to change that setting though, head into the advanced gameplay options, you'll find the new slider, and it will be set to 75. That's the default value. As you can see here, mine is already set to 50%, which is the lowest it can go, but that will give you a comparable experience to the lowest setting in Battlefield 1, even though the values across the games are different. If you're some kind of crazy person, and for some reason you love screen shake and you want even more of it, then you can turn it right up to 100% for extra absolute chaos wobbliness. I don't know why you'd want to turn it up, maybe for cinematic moments, but the option is there for you. That option to reduce screen shake, that does have an effect on the gunplay. Not directly, of course, but it does change things. During those moments where a bomber's raining down hell from above, or people are chucking dynamite over a wall when it's not quite killing you, with the slider set to 50%, your aimed fire should be that little bit more focused. And though the shake doesn't have that much of an impact on your weapon, in fact, no, it doesn't have any impact on your weapon at all, the reduced shake on the screen will likely mean that you can keep your eyes on the target that much better. Overall, the gunplay changes are ones that you'd be hard-pressed to really notice unless someone told you beforehand what to look for. But someone like myself who plays Battlefield 5 nearly every day and keeps up with the patch notes, the difference was quite a lot easier to spot. And with the rounds that I spent using the STG, I found in quite a few scenarios I was picking up kills where I might not have before the patch. In the mid-range was where I noticed it most. That's the range where recoil is severe enough to start kicking your aim off of your target through the scope. I found the first few shots were hitting more consistently if I started with that first shot hitting the target. If the first shot missed, then I'd either end up wasting 6 or 7 bullets, or somebody would turn around, return fire, and more often than not would end up killing me. The emphasis on firing in short bursts is definitely elevated with the changes, and considering that's how gunplay sort of worked in the days of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, I'm not really complaining. I like the gunplay in those games, so I like it now in Battlefield 5. Now, I also said I'd talk about the elite soldiers and what I think about this entire cosmetic scenario at the moment in this video, so we may as well move on to that now. Seamus and Ernst are the first 2 legendary cosmetic items to be added to Battlefield 5. They're now available in the armory for you to obtain if you want them. Both of them currently cost 990 points, and this is a reduction from the standard 1,500 points that future elites are going to cost as standard. Chances are this is just EA and DICE doing an introduction cost for elites, and in the future the price will obviously go up, but anyone that's got some points left over maybe that they haven't spent yet, then you can get the new elites for a little bit cheaper this time around. These elite soldiers are only available with boins, by the way. No company coin can be spent on them, so you'll never be able to grind your way to unlocking them, and as such they do come with extra features beyond the epic outfits that have been released in the last few few weeks. Each elite soldier comes with a totally new, complete set of voiceover lines. These replace all of the callouts that you hear during multiplayer matches like, hey, I'm chucking a grenade, asking orders from a squad leader, saying that really hurt, those types of things. All of that has been replaced with brand new voiceover lines. They've all been redone and they're all in a different style as well, so they're not just like for like swaps. There's unique lines in there that you won't hear any other character say. They also come with a best squad victory pose as well, which works in both standard multiplayer if you're part of the best squad, and it works in Firestorm if you win a match. And each elite will come with a unique melee weapon as well, and that's unlockable via an assignment. Now, when you convert the Boynes value of these elite soldiers back into real-world money, you're looking at a cost right now for these first two elites of about $10 each, and future elites, they will cost about $15 each. In my opinion, I think $10 is about right for an elite soldier, considering all the work that's gone in. There's a lot of extra voiceover work being done, the detail of the outfit is quite a lot higher than most of the other outfits in the game. You get a unique melee weapon which you can unlock from the assignment, and you get the different animation at the end of round screen as well. Those are pretty cool. Now for $15, that's going to be the price of all future elites moving forwards. I think DICE is asking too much there. $15 for a legendary skin, that's approaching the territory of Fortnite. And in that game, because it's a third-person shooter, people can at least see their chosen skin for the entire round, and they can do stupid emotes with it, whatever they want to do. Here in Battlefield 5, you only ever get to see your soldiers' hands and arms, since it's a first-person shooter. And then briefly, you get to see the whole outfit at the end of the round if you are part of the best squad. If you're not part of the best squad, then you don't get to see that animation. $15 is a lot to ask from players for that kind of integration, especially when $15 in previous games would have bought you an entire DLC's worth of content, including maps, weapons, armies, gadgets, game modes, vehicles, and in some cases, even more than that. I think DICE needs to be doing more to emphasize the presence of these elite soldier cosmetics. These are legendary items at the end of the day. These are the highest rarity items that you can get in Battlefield 5. DICE needs to be building more ways to highlight the styles that you've chosen to obtain as a player. $15 is too much to ask when in return, the only time you're guaranteed to see your own soldier is in the end of round screen when you are part of the best squad. If you're not part of the best squad, you won't see that animation or even your soldier's outfit. DICE needs to do more to justify the price that they're asking for these elite soldiers. Either that, or they need to drop the price to something a little bit more reasonable. And just quickly before I end this video, I want to say something generally about the cosmetics and the way they're being handled in Battlefield 5 at the moment, because I think EA and DICE could be doing a lot better here, and in another game, they're already doing much better. Gamers have either time or money, or a combination of both of those things. Battlefield 5 should be, in my opinion, directly embracing both of those options. It should be letting players decide how they want to obtain cosmetics from the armory. If a player has a lot of spare time, you should let them grind out company coin as much as they like and obtain any cosmetics they like in that way. If a player has extra income they don't mind spending, then give them the option to spend it, unlocking whatever cosmetics they like in that way. EA and DICE should be supporting both of these routes, but instead they're cutting off the higher tier items like elite soldiers and epic outfits and weapon skins to people who have the cash to spend. I think that's a bad route to take, especially, as I mentioned, when another game made by the same studio is probably using one of the fairest systems for cosmetics that I've seen in a AAA game recently. Star Wars Battlefront 2 allows players to spend their grind currency or their premium currency on any of the cosmetics in the game. There's no barriers, there's no cutting off of high-level content to those who have the extra money. You can spend your time grinding, or you can spend your money. That's real player choice, and I'm confused and frankly disappointed that DICE and EA chose to take a step backwards with Battlefield 5 and offer players of this game something inferior to a game that they've already made and are continuing to develop for. But there we are, some updates to Gunplay and my opinions on the elite soldiers. Let me know what you think of all this down below in the comments section, and a big thank you for watching today. But until next time, My name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.